What it is, guys, your boy Alan Slayer with himself, Alanizing, and today we got NBA Conference Finals review, and I'm going to give my NBA Finals 2024 prediction. Let's start off in the East with the Pacers and the Celtics. So a little recap. I picked Boston in 6. I said they have no excuses to not be in the final. They got to win it. They have a stacked team. I picked them in 6 because they always drop game at the weirdest times, and they didn't. They did not do it this time. They swept the Pacers. As in Game 1, it went to the wire in regulation as Jaylen Brown hit a 3 in regulation to tie 117 to send it to overtime. There's obviously some criticism that they didn't foul. We're going to get into that later. In overtime, Brown had a steal. Drew forced a turnover on Halliburton that sealed the win for the C's in Boston. Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner, and Spicy P all had 20-plus points as Tatum had 36 points for the Celtics. In Game 2, the game was close near the end, and Tyrese got injured and it became a blowout. Jaylen Brown was the aggressor. He scored 40 points. He was the best player on the Celtics this game. Tatum was awful in the first half. He only scored 4 points, and then in the second half he got better and he finished with 23 as Spicy P had 28 points for the Pacers. Game 3, Tatum finished with 36 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. He was balling finally, mixed in with Brown, who had 24 points, and Horford going 7 out of 12 from 3. I mean, you're going to win that game. And then Nembhard, without Tyrese, went for 32 points, 9 assists. McConnell with 23 off the bench. It just wasn't enough for the Pacers. In Game 4, Pacers pushed Boston the whole game. The last 5 minutes was a bit of fiasco for both sides, turnovers on both sides, until 3 clutch plays by Brown and Boston. Brown had a block on Nembhard, and then he drives, fakes a drive, assist to Derek White, who hit a clutch 3, and then Drew avoids getting fouled. He passes it to Brown, who wastes enough time for Boston to win. Brown and Tatum combined for 55 points. Nembhard finished with 24 points, 10 assists. Siakam with 19 points, and McConnell with 15 points. Overall, Boston, they swept Indiana 4-0. Obviously, it was expected, Boston to win. I expected Boston to win. And then with Tyrese going down in Game 2, that sped up the process. Only one blowout game, and that was Game 2, but the rest were pretty close. And Indiana was leading most of the time in these games, But when the games were going to end, they made the mistakes, like in Game 1. How we're talking about, how he shot a 3. Jaylen Brown shot that 3, 117. Most people were saying should have fouled him in that instance. Me personally, I would have ran him off the 3-point line. So I would have put all my defenders at the 3-point line, run him off there so they could get like a layup or a dunk. That would have wasted time. Then we would have gotten the ball back. Like if I was saying the Pacers, then they would have fouled us. And then we could have blown out the game like that. But I don't know what the Pacers did. I don't know what Rick Carlisle did. He's supposed to be sitting in the huddle to foul them. Spicy P didn't foul him. No idea why, but yeah, they deserve criticism for that. They blew that. Either supposed to foul him or you could run him off the 3-point line. But they had turnovers in Game 1 as well. Then when it bounced off of Spicy P. Spicy P, bro, I don't know what happened in that game. Game 1, he was not clutch. Game 1, he was not. Drew had a steal on Nembhard in Game 3. And then Game 4, Pacers had a lot more turnovers. Now, people want to say Pacers blew it. They blew this series, which can be true, especially Game 1, can be true. But I'm going to lean where it was close games. Like, they were all tight-knit games at the end of the games. So, Boston, I'm just going to go with Boston had a better team. Like, they were able to close out the games because they have better players, a better roster. So, I think that's why I pushed them over the line. The Celtics, they love to shoot threes. But the Pacers' plan to basically have a 5-line defense on the 3-point line just left the paint wide open. They were basically telling him to run off the 3, and they were all attacking the rim. All the Celtics players were. So it was smart ball by Mazzulla and his team. A lot of questions come up. Is this the easiest run to the finals? Maybe, maybe not. Me personally, I don't think it's the easiest one. There's probably easier ones out there in history, but I could see why you would say that. But was it an easy run in general? For sure it was. For sure it was. Because all the 3 teams that got injured, all the 3 teams that they faced, the Heat, the Knicks, and Pacers, they all suffered injuries. Heat with Jimmy Butler. Knicks, half the roster was injured. And then Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton, their best player, got injured. So it makes sense. That obviously made the route to go to the finals easier. But just because the route is easy doesn't mean you got to discredit or downplay the Celtics. And I'm not going to do that, okay? I'm not going to do that because I clearly thought they were the best team in the East, and I put pressure on them. I applied pressure on them to be here where they're at. Now they're here. I got to be objective, and I got to give them credit for being here. Because if they weren't here, I'd kill them. I would have murdered them. So I got to be objective. Got to be objective and say, hey, you made it here. I told y'all should be here. And they're here. Because even if they were healthy, would you really? I don't believe that they would have beat the Celtics anyways. All teams healthy, Celtics still would have beaten them. Probably would have taken longer, but they still would have beaten them. I think they still would have beat all three teams. So can't really discredit the Celtics, right? Don't think I like them. I don't like the Celtics, but gotta give props where props is due. I gotta be real. Like I told y'all, gotta be objective. Have to be. But that was overall, Eastern Conference Finals MVP was won by Jaylen Brown, who averaged 30 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals in this series on 52% shooting, 37% from 3, 66% from the free throw line. That was not good from the free throw line. But other than the free throw line numbers, pretty good numbers. His teammate challenged him for that was Jason Tatum, who had 30 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists in this series on 46% shooting, 31% from 3, 79% from the free throw line. So it's actually pretty comparable between the two. Tatum just averaged more rebounds and assists, but Brown averaged the same points on better efficiency. So stats-wise, you could choose whoever you want. What would you value more, what your preference is. And they actually had pretty close usage rates as well. Brown had 30% and Tatum had 31%. So with the average usage rate being 20%, so it was close. Now, personally, I believe the media members chose Brown to win because due to the moments he had. Like in Game 1, he had the clutch 3 and a steal. In Game 2, he scored 40. And then in Game 4, he had the block. And then he had the assist. And then he had the IQ a bit towards the end. While Tatum did have 2 36-point games, I believe those moments just outweighed that in their eyes. And to me, same thing. Like I just those moments, I feel like I see him more in these games, even though Tatum did have 36 and 36 and he had 10 rebounds and 6 assists. That's pretty good. But I just feel like with the eye test, you would see Jaylen Brown just showed up more in these moments. And that's why they chose him, which I am mad at because I like Brown more as well. So it is what it is. Maybe he might get his finals MVP. We don't know. But for right now, Jaylen Brown, he got his Eastern Conference Finals MVP, which is pretty funny. When he won, he was like, I don't win anything. So I was pretty surprised, which is true. More recognition Tatum always gets more recognition. So it is what it is. But Drew Holiday, let's get on to him. 19 points in this series, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals on 59% from the field, 42% from 3, 100% from the free throw line on 10 free throw attempts. He is the piece that the Celtics needed for this championship run, okay? He has experience, his management of the game, his defense. He was guarding 1 through 5 in this series. Like, he was clamping up Miles Turner. He had timely shots. He just fueled for the game, just an exceptional player. Love Drew Holiday, right? The rest of the team, Derek White, he had like 17 points, 7 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks is what he averaged this series. His defense, he also has timely shots. This is what made him valuable. This is what makes him valuable for the team. Horford, he was filling in for Porzingis. He had 13 points, 8 rebounds on 39% from the 3 with 28 3-point attempts. That was a lot for Horford, little old man Horford. And Pritchard and Hauser, they had 16, 14 minutes respectively. For both of them, they contributed when they came in the game. They were mostly the 2 bench guys to actually play, so they really have no depth. And we're going to talk about that later, foreshadowing, but those are the actual 2 guys that come off the bench and actually contribute. For the Pacers, Tyrese and Nembhard, before his injury, Tyrese's injury, in Game 2, he had 18 points. He was averaging 18 points, 9 assists, 2 steals on 46% shooting. Obviously messed up the plan for the Pacers, but in his place, Nembhard shined. He was averaging 21 points, 8 assists on 54% shooting, 48% from 3, and 89% from the free throw line. And he had a 32-point game with 32.9 assists game and a 24.10 assist game. As a starting point guard, like, he was balling, man. These were good numbers. Look, 48% from 3, 48, 32 points, 9 assists. Like, okay, bro. Like, he was it wasn't enough, obviously, but like talking about taking advantage of moments, like I don't know his contract, I don't know, but say he gets a free agent, or like he's making money for himself, or they might extend him, so he's making money for himself, and that's what's up. I remember when he was on Gonzaga, so that's pretty cool, but it wasn't enough, but it is what it is. Spicy P, he was the leading scorer, 23 for the Pacers, 23 points average, 8 rebounds, 5 assists on 55% shooting, 20% from 3 with 10 3-point attempts, so he didn't attempt a lot, and 78% from the free throw line. He's obviously the bucket getter of the team. I think he had awkward moments in this series. He lost the ball out of bounds in game 1 in crunch time, and then he had all the turnovers here and there. So I don't know what's wrong with Spicy P in game 1, but he's obviously the bucket getter, but he just couldn't do enough in this series. TJ McConnell, he averaged 15 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists on 50% from the field. He's a spark plug for the team, from the bench. He's giving them energy. He's a grimy player, helped where he could, but he can only do enough. He can only do so little. And then the rest of the team, Obi Toppin and Aaron A. Smith, both of them had about like 10 points. Naismith is there for, he's a 3-and-D guy, and then Obi was to score, get some minutes in, so that's what's up. But the main thing of why the Celtics won the series is because they're the better team, and then the injury. But I think they would have won either way. So Celtics just a better team, and they move on to the finals. As we head in the West, Timberwolves versus the Mavs. Recap, right? I picked the T-Wolves in 7. I was like, they just got the number 1 defense. It's going to be a mismatch. It's going to be a matchup problem for Luka and Kyrie. And literally the opposite happened, dude. Literally the opposite. Game 1, it was an exciting back and forth game where Dallas was just shredding Minnesota in their drop coverage. And then the Wolves countered that by blitzing Luka at the top of the key. So then Luka had to give up the ball earlier, and sometimes he would give it up to Gafford and Lively, who they're not great dribblers, especially 10 feet away from the rim, so they would lose the ball. And then Luka and Kyrie, but despite of that, Luka and Kyrie combined for 63 points, while Ant and Cat struggled, scoring 19 and 16 as the Mavs went up 1-0. Game 2, Wolves had the lead most of the game, but they blew it. Mavs were still shredding Gobert, and when he was in that drop coverage, man, I'm sorry, but he is a defensive liability. Like, in an ISO, as Luka shot the game-winning shot over him, like, I get it, it's Luka. Luka's gonna do that to mostly all the defenders in the league, but can you stay in front of the guy, bro? Can you at least stay in front of him, please? Why do you think they picked him out? Because it was on a switch. Jaden McDaniels was guarding him first when he got the ball inbounds. He got it first. But then what? They called a switch. They wanted Gobert to switch on him. Why? Because he's a defensive liability. Okay? That's why. Luka finished the game with 32 points, 10 rebounds, 13 assists. Naz Reid was the leading scorer with 23 points he's the leading scorer for the T-Wolves, my bad. The T-Wolves with 23 points, 7 out of 9 from 3. Then Ant had 21 points. He was shooting badly, though, 5 out of 17. And then Cat, again, was also shooting badly and was 4 to 16 from the field. Mavs went up 2-0. Game 3, Luka and Kyrie scoring whenever they wanted. They combined for 66 points. Anthony Edwards had 26 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. He got it going after his dunk, but they lost because they had no running mate. He had no running mate. Karl Anthony Towns went 0-8 from 3. Derek Lively got injured, he hit his head, and Gafford had 3 blocks this game. Game 4, the Wolves survived and they forced a Game 5. The Wolves duo of Ant-Man had 29 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists. He showed up, he was being aggressive, he was attacking the rim without Lively being there, and he had 5 fouls, Mr. Ant-Man did. Karl Anthony Towns, he finally showed up in the series. He had 25 points. He was 9 out of 13 from the field, 4 out of 5 from 3. He started scoring in the paint first. He was solidifying himself there, getting in a rhythm, and then he came along with the threes. He did foul out, committed stupid fouls, but I mean, he did his thing other than that. Kyle Anderson, he had some great plays. Gobert also had 5 fouls. The Mavs duo switched roles with the Wolves duo in this game. Like, Luka had 28 points, 15 boards, and 10 assists, which is great. Like, statistically, that's great, but he shot poor, 7 out of 21 from the field. And his running mate, Kyrie, was even worse. He had 16 points, 6 out of 18 from the field. And then Gafford had 3 blocks again, which is good. That's not bad. That's good. And the Wolves were playing zone at times. And they would do less of the drop from Gobert. And they were blitzing Luka with double teams, and that worked to slow him down shooting-wise in this game. At Game 5, the Mavs came out, and they just beat the shit out of the Wolves. Like, bro. Luka heard all that 3-0 comeback. He heard that it's time to make history, and he said, fuck out of here with that, bro. So I'm going to put that shit to sleep. And he did. At one point, they led by 36 points. 36 points. And it started by Luka because he came out and he hit his shots quickly, no hesitation. 20 points in the first quarter. He finished with 36 points, 10 rebounds, 14 out of 22 from the field. Kyrie also scored 36 points. Wolves, they just looked defeated, and Anthony Edwards and Towns both of them went for 28 points, which is good, but it didn't really matter because they were already down by 30 points. As the Mavs closed the series in 5. So like I was saying, bro, overall, I was wrong. I was wrong about the matchup. I really thought the matchup favored the Wolves. I thought it was a bad matchup for the Mavericks, because with their I was like with the Wolves, they got lengthy defenders, they got a number 1 defense, they can cause problems for both Luka and Kyrie. But Luka, dude, especially him, he just got what he wanted at all times. Like, he just moved, he got to his spots, and he just scored whenever he wanted. He assisted whenever he wanted. The Wolves Gobert drop coverage strategy, he was getting shredded by that, bro. He was getting shredded every single game because Gobert, he can't slide his feet to save his life, bro. He just cannot. I'm going to talk about him specifically more in depth later, but he just cannot do it to save his life. Every time Lively or Gafford, they would just lurk underneath the rim because he would Gobert would go help double team Luka, but then he would drop off of him, and then, I don't know what I'm doing. So then Lively and Gafford would go underneath the rim right behind him, go for the lob, go for the dunk every single time. Now the Wolves found an adjustment by blitzing Luka, but they wouldn't stay with it as long as Gobert had his drop coverage. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. But Kyrie, when Ant was matched up with him, he would gas him out. So they just couldn't keep up with him, with both of them. They just could not keep up with Luka and Kyrie. The Mavericks defense, they packed the paint and forced the Wolves to shoot threes, and the Wolves fell in those traps repeatedly, especially Cat and Ant, who took less shots in the mid-range and more shots in the 3. And did find success later in the series with like a high screen and rolls that got him open, but it was kind of late when they brought it up and they made that adjustment. So, and that's what happened. That's basically what happened for overall. The Western Conference Finals MVP was Luka Doncic, who averaged 32 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals on 47% from the field, 43% from 3, 85% from the free throw line. Obviously well-deserved, okay? He was the best player in this series. Like I was talking about earlier, he just bullied all the defenders. He just got wherever he wanted to. He got to his spots all the time. He backed up Jaden McDaniels. He backed him up multiple times. He shredded him. A second all-defensive team player this year. Shredded him. And gave him some stick at times when they would start him with him, but then he just figured them out. And the same thing with Kyle Anderson. He would just figure these guys out. He's just strong enough to get to his spots. And when you try to stop him as a scorer, he has the passing ability to throw full court lobs or use the behind the back passes, corner 3 passes. Like, he has so many things in his repertoire. Like, he's just, bro, like, offensively, he's him. Everything in his arsenal, he's just him. And then defensively, he has massively improved. Given effort, because that's all he needs. Like, for him, all he needs is to give effort on defense, because he's bulky. He can move his feet. Unlike Gobert, he's long, and then and he's doing this on bum knees. So my respect for Luka has grown, not just because he's a Madrid guy, how Madrid, but it's just grown, and it feels like he's even maturing more, and he's getting better, and he's already like 25 or something, bro. So, like, damn, he's the first player to enter the finals, being the points, rebound, and assist leader in playoff history. I thought that was Jokic last year, but I guess entering the finals, Jokic didn't have that, so that's insane. Now, that's why the conversation comes out is he the best player in the world right now? And I mean, right now, I'm going to still give it to Jokic. Okay, Jokic having 3 MVPs. He's got his chip. He's got his finals MVP. Now, he lost this year, obviously, but I mean, he won the MVP this year, dude. He won the MVP this year. But is Luka in the conversation at 2? I believe so. With the honest boy, bro. With my boy Yanni. If Luka wins a chip this year, I'll put him at 2. Now, it'll be hard with Giannis because Giannis has that. He has Defense Player of the Year. He has 2 MVPs. He has that Finals MVP. So it'll be hard to put him in. But, I mean, if he gets one this year, you might have to put him on there. Might have to put him at 2. Top 3 for sure, though. Top 3 for sure. But I don't know. Maybe I'll have to see him how he plays in the finals. But if he gets that Finals MVP, I'd put him at 2. Me personally, I'd put him at 2 if he were to win that Finals MVP this year. Kyrie, his running mate, he averaged 27 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists on 49% from the field, 38% from 3, 81% from the free throw line. He was the second best player in the series, and that's why they won, right? Kyrie started game 1 cooking. He cooked Ant with 30 points. He had that boy gassed. Only bad game that Kyrie had was game 4, but other than that, solid. He was solid. He took solid to great the rest of the games. He was more aggressive and better in this series than the last, which was weird because, again, I thought this matchup would be tougher for them, but it was easier for them. They just scored more. They found their spots, and we already know. We don't need to explain Kai's game, okay? Kai, you know what he has. His handles go crazy. His shooting go crazy. His finishing go crazy. He could finish whatever at the top of the glass, at the rim. Like, he can do whatever he wants, bro, because he's Kyrie Irving. So, and then his defense is also improved, which, again, that makes it better. I think his IQ is underrated now that he has matured. I think he's just more into the game. Like, I used to criticize him about in his Brooklyn days and his Boston days that he wasn't a leader. I was like, he's not a leader. He doesn't care, really. He's just like, I'm just going to be here. I want to be my guy. And I don't want nobody to talk about me. But now, he's obviously a leader for this Mavericks team. And he's just matured. Like, he cares more about basketball. Like, it feels like in his Brooklyn days, he didn't really care about basketball. Basketball was like the third thing in his option. In his, like, to-do list, even though he is a professional basketball player. But now, it seems like basketball's one and other things is one as well. Or he knows how to, phrase that back. He's found a way, he's matured enough, and he's found a way to combine the two and maybe have a 1-of-1, 1A, 1B. And it looks great. And, he has a family now. Probably that's matured him as well. So, shout out to Kyrie, bro. Shout out. Getting better, man. So, that's cool. PJ Washington, he had 12 points on 37% from the field, 25% from 3. He did not show up this series. As last series, he was the second best player. This series, he wasn't even in the top 5, bro. Like, I don't know. He's going to need to show up for the finals, though. Give him some shooting. But in this series, he was horrible. Horrible. The rest of the team, Gafford and Lively. Gafford have 11 points, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks. The blocks is what made Gafford his name in this series. I mean, he was blocking everything. He had the Wolves scared going near the rim. Like, they didn't want to go there because they knew Gafford was lurking. Lively, he got injured in game 3, and he sat out game 4. But when he was in the game, he had 10 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, 100% from the field. He's the energy of this team. He was catching the lobs, doing the dirty work. And he's young. He's like 19. So, shout out. And then Derrick Jones, he was a starter because he was defense. And then Hardy and Green coming off the bench. They're good shooters, contributing some time and minutes. Time and points. So, that was good for the Mavericks. Moving on to the Wolves, specifically. Ant-Man, he's the best player on the Wolves, right? He averaged 25 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists on 43% from the field, 41% from 3, 75% from the free throw line. His numbers, they're good. They're not great. The 3 is great. 41% from 3, that's great. But 43%, not great. And 75%, not great as well. He was inconsistent in this series, right? The first 2 games was awful. Game 3 and Game 4, he was better. And then Game 5, he played well, but the game was out of reach. So it didn't really matter. It was just a bunch of empty calories, like Shannon Sharp says. He got more aggressive towards the end of the series, which he could have done before. He should have done that before. He should have been forcing himself to get in the paint to drive, be more aggressive, but he did not do that. He was being more passive, and people say it's just because he was tired, which is true. He was, but that's not an excuse. Okay, everybody is tired. This is May. It's about to be June. This is championship basketball, bro. You think Luka's not tired? That boy looks gassed, bro. He looks gassed. You think the Celtics aren't tired? Everyone is tired, but this is championship basketball. I love Ant-Man, okay? I love Anthony Edwards, but I don't want to hear the age excuse either, because we were killing Tatum about his finals performance versus Golden State when he was 23 years old. We were killing him. I was killing him. I was saying, bro, what is this? I thought you were Kobe Bryant. You're playing like straight garbage out there. And I killed him. So I'm going to kill Ant Edwards, bro. I'm going to criticize him for this, because he did not play up to par. He did not play up to standard. So we got to give him criticism. I'm keeping the same energy. He has to play better. Now, do I think he can come back and be better? Of course he can. Of course I think he can. I think he will, because he has that mentality. But the hype that he had of, oh, he's the best player now, he's the face of the league now, well, he has no MVPs, no championships, no like insane accolades. I think he has like all. Do you think he has all the NBA team? I think he just barely got on it this year, I think. But he has no high-standing accolades. So how can he be the face of the league? Hey, people had to calm down. Okay, he's not that right now. Not that right now. He didn't meet his expectations, all right? Even in the Nuggets series, he had on and off, and then Game 7, he almost had a choke job. So he ain't the perfect player. He's not at that level yet. He got to improve on his stamina, on his playoff mentality, because he said the lights after Game 5 versus the Mavs, he said, oh, this is my first time in the limelight. So he's got to learn how to do that, how to deal with that, learning to adapt, like in the basketball side, learning to adapt to things, how to make adjustments quicker and actually do them. Not just, oh, this is my adjustment and then I'll do it later in the series. Like, no, do it now. And I believe he will do it. So I believe he will. I have nothing against him, dude. I love the guy. I love his game. I love his play style. That's like how I love my basketball. So I love the guy, but gotta give him criticism where criticism is due. Like how you gotta give props to people, you gotta give criticism to people. He did not play well this series with all the hype that was with him. He did not. So keep it at a hundo. And this guy didn't either. Karl Anthony Towns, 20 points, 8 rebounds on 38% shooting, 24% from 3. 90% from the free throw line. Apart from his free throw percentage, he was straight up egregious. Like, I know you're a big man shooter. I know you proclaim yourself as the best big man shooter, but you ain't look like it, bro. You ain't look like it. And I get it. Shooters shoot. It can be 1 out of 15. They're still going to be shooting. But don't do the shooting when you're not the main scorer. When you're in a playoff game. When you're 7 feet tall versus smaller defenders, go into the post, get better attempts, and be sent to the free throw line, bro. It's incompetent basketball when you know you have the advantage in the post. You know your shot is not falling, and despite all that, you just settle for 3 after 3 after 3, and you shoot yourself in the foot. You shoot yourself out of the game because you're too stubborn to change. Like, it pisses me off, bro, watching that you just, like, go into the paint. Why you keep shooting threes if it's not falling? Stop it. Like, it irritates me, bro. Like, oh my god. Like, and then Chuck and Shaq were talking about it, and they're right, bro. If you have an advantage, take it. Take it. Stop lollygagging. Take it. But we've seen his whole career when he was with Jimmy, when he was by himself on the Wolves, and now with Anthony Edwards. He's just not the guy. He's not the main guy, and that's fine. Not everyone's a main guy. Not everyone is the first option. Second option's pretty good. He might be a better third option, but he's not the first option. And that's okay. We don't have to force him to be a first option, but I don't like that he talks like he's the first option when he's not. Does he have all the skill set to be a great? He does, but he just doesn't have the mentality. He don't. Now, that's fine. It's okay. Like I said, I'm going to repeat myself again. Not everyone has to have these things. But I don't like when you talk like you do. Just don't do it. If you're not, don't talk like that. Simple. It's gone to Gobert. Rudy Gobert. He averaged 12 points 8 rebounds, 1 block this series. Now, you can say he deters people from attacking the rim because of his shot blocking. He changes the trajectory of his shots and he turns them into low percentage shots, which is great. I mean, he does. I ain't going to say he doesn't. But in these playoffs, bro, especially this series, he was a defensive liability. Okay, I don't care what you say. Yes, he's how is a 4-time defensive player of the year a defensive liability? He can't guard the perimeter. He can't guard one-on-one. And even with bigs, he can't guard one-on-one. Like, bro just stands underneath the rim and that's it. That's all he does. Like, in my opinion, I think to be an all-time defender, you gotta be versatile in all things. Does it mean he has to be a great perimeter defender? No, he does not, because he's a big, and most of them are not. He doesn't have to be great at it, but at least make it be average, bro. At least make it hard. He can't even stay in front of guards or bigs, bro. Like he just can't. Like, being in front of guards, yes, that's harder, but like make him try to shoot over you because you're so big, and he just doesn't. And then with bigs, Jokic was eating him up, bro. So like I'm not even gonna talk about his offense because it's just non-existent. That's not what he does. I'm just not a fan of the guy. I'm just not a fan of the guy. Was he helping in their number 1 defense? Of course he was in the regular season. He's probably the reason they made the number 1 defense. But in the playoffs, I don't see it. He's a liability. I don't see it. Like I'm sorry. I'm sorry, he might be. I know what you guys are talking about. Like, he's a big, he stands in the lane, he deters people from coming in the lane. I get it, but like, I think when you're a 4-time defensive player, you gotta be more versatile. You just have to, in my opinion. That's just me. I think you have to be like that, but whatever. Everyone has a different view of basketball, and that's just my opinion on that. But I can't see it. Honestly, I just can't. Let's move on to Naz Reid. Naz Reid, who had 13 points on 40% from the field and the 3. I think he should have gotten more minutes than Gobert. He should have gotten some minutes over Gobert. Going smaller probably would have made the Wolves' offense more unpredictable. The Mavericks would have had one more player to worry about on offense. And then on defense, Naz can actually guard one-on-one, and he would have kept them on defense. He could actually guard, slide his feet, and he kept them alive in game 2 with 7 out of 9 from 3. So that's going back to the offense, worrying about another player. So I think Naz Reid probably could have done a bit better. They would have been more unpredictable going small. But they didn't do that because they wanted their defensive player to get minutes, I guess. For the rest of the team, Conley was okay. He had 12 points, 4 assists. That's what he was averaging. Shooting was okay. Jaden McDaniels gave Kyrie hard times when guarding him. But he was getting punked by Luka, though. But the shooting stats, he shot 50% from the field. Great. And 3. I think he also shot 50% from the 3 with 24 3-point attempts. So that's stupendous. But I don't know. He just didn't get enough shots, I guess. But Kyle Anderson displayed IQ and defense with his minutes. And Alexander Walker, he had his minutes reduced due to his shooting percentage. Like, it was in the high 20s for the field and then 18% from 3. Terrible. I think that's why we didn't really get to see another body on Luka, because he couldn't get in the game because his shooting was so off. And the moral of the story is that the 2 best players on the Mavs were the 2 best players in the series, and that's why they won. Point blank simple. Point blank simple. Now let's get on to the predictions for the NBA Finals 2024. I've thought about it a lot of times. I've said this or with that, and I finally came to the conclusion that I'm going with the upset. I'm going Mavericks in 7. Here's why. Okay, I know. I thought about this too. The Celtics have 4 defenders who can guard Luka, right? Supposedly. But let's get deeper into that. Boston is not going to have Tatum and Brown guard Luka the whole game, okay? Because they're the scorers. They're just not going to do that. They need to score. They need to have their energy for offense. So both of them, the max that Tatum and Brown are going to guard him is 5 minutes. 5 minutes maximum that they're going to guard Luka in a game for both. That's the max. Number 2, White is going to guard Kyrie, as they're both 2 guards, and then they needed someone to guard Kyrie because if they don't have anyone guarding Kyrie, then he's going to go off. If they put all their attention to Luka, Kyrie's going to go off, and that's why Kyrie's there. That's why he's a second option. That's why he's a scorer. That's why he's here. to get some load off of Luka, and that's what you're gonna do with Derek White. Derek White's gonna go and stay around with Kyrie. So then that leaves Drew with Luka. And don't get it twisted, okay? I love Drew. Like I said, I love Drew. Six-time all-defensive player, second all-defensive team this year. But McDaniels was the second all-defensive team as well. And the Slovenian bullied him. Now, McDaniels is bigger than Drew. He's bigger than him, taller-wise. Like, he's taller than him. Girth-wise, no. I think Drew's weighs more than him. He's bigger than him, stronger than him. So that's why I think it's not going to be domination. Because Drew is going to have his tricks and he's hard to move. But I'm expecting Luka to play simple b-ball, smart b-ball, find a way. He's going to find a way to get his spots. And he's going to shoot. And he's going to make his buckets. Now, I said the same for the Mavs, the Wolves series. Remember I said, that they're going to have a good matchup for them. They're 4 defenders, 3 defenders. The opposite happened. I'm not doing that again. I'm switching it. And I'm saying Luka and Kyrie are going to find a way. I'm just going to go with that. I mean, if he does, bro, and he cooks them, if he has the same numbers that he averaged versus the Celtics this year in the regular season, which was 35 points, 15 boards, 12 assists, so a triple-double. If he has the same numbers, I think he might be the best player in the world, bro. And then the Mavericks and the Celtics, they both play better on the road. Mavericks are the road team in this finals, and Luka thrives off of that. We've seen how he enjoys that. That's what motivates him, is to go to other arenas and they boo him and they do all this. He's like, oh yes, I need this. This is my drug. This is what makes me better. They're 7-2 on the road in this playoffs. The Mavericks are, so you can see it. Porzingis is gonna be back, but how healthy is he gonna be? I don't know how healthy he's gonna be. He's similar to Cat. They don't like to get in the post. They like to stay in 3, shoot 3, that kind of stuff. Gafford and Lively gonna be there. So it's going to be harder for him. He's not a defensive specialist, Porzingis is. And in my opinion, the Mavs' depth is better. For the Celtics, they only got Pritchard and Hauser. They're like the only guys who have meaningful minutes coming off the bench. And then Mavs have Lively, Jaden Hardy, Josh Green, Maxi Kleber, Hardaway. Shooters, obviously not Lively, but the rest of them are shooters who could come in and get hot. So only reason that I have this in 7 is because the Celtics, they're really talented. And the opposite of what I said could happen. Now I could switch, but I think the Celtics are really talented. So I'm going to give it the Mavs in 7. Going with the upset, Mavs in 7. I don't know how it's going to go, but go Mavs in 7. Thank y'all for listening. See y'all in the next episode. See you after the finals reaction. See how that goes. Bye.